Good evening, you guys. Just give maybe about another 30 seconds for everybody to load in. Sheila will be here in just a minute, and then we'll get started. I'm sorry. I think I'm talking to myself because my mute was on. Anyhow, all right. So look, let me go ahead and get through the introduction again. My name is Deanna. You're on the left After Trauma Show, and what we do here is bring light and lightness to the heavy topic of trauma. And once a month, we make sure that you have tools for handling these situations. Forgive my voice. I'm still a little bit without a voice right now. And it's been a couple of weeks, so it's just been a long recovery road. But one of the things that I did this past week, which is why I didn't have a show last week, was I was at an annual event that I've been going to for 7 years. And this year I worked the event as a mentor. And it was one of the most amazing experiences I ever had. But one of the things that I walked away from the event with is really understanding how important it is for us to just be intentional. In other words, having intention behind the things we do, as opposed to just striving. And I know Sheila loves to talk about this topic, and we're going to talk about intentions and also just how we can use intentions to set the tone for the new year and energetically where we are. Her last newsletter was great. And Sheila, if you want, in the fortune cookie, you can put the link to your newsletter. And for those of you who would like to get her newsletter that comes out each week, by all means, reach back out to her. But once a month, we come to you with a show that's going to bring some of this information to you so that you can just tap into the tools and the tips for where we are in the stream of time and the ways that you can work with that. So I hope I explained that a little bit. Okay, Sheila, and by all means, on mic and bring yourself up to camera whenever you want. Hey, Graciela, thanks for being here. And Peter, good evening. So that's basically going to be really the crux of our discussion today. And that is specifically about intention and bringing in the new year with the right tone, setting that tone for the new year. For me, one of the things that I really like to emphasize when I talk about intention, and I kind of like to give an example behind this, is being able to understand the reason why or the bigger picture behind whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish or whatever direction you're headed. And when I think about that, we have been trained so much to focus on goals and setting those goals properly and making sure we're accountable and all of these things. But the reality is that if you don't have the impetus and the intention behind that goal, if you don't know why you want something, then you probably won't accomplish it. That's the first thing. The other thing is, even if you really think you want that as badly as anything in the world, life happens. Life is messy. We can't predict every move and everything that we are going to go through. And then when that fails or maybe gets sidetracked, because I don't like the word fail, but failure is something that we learn from. But when that gets sidetracked, everything is derailed. We quit. But if we know our intention, then we know how to shift and be flexible inside of our goals. And so I think that is important in understanding, I guess, what I mean behind the word intention. It's saying I want to be healthy and I want to have energy because I have 5 grandkids and I want to make sure that I'm around a long time and I can keep up with them. Then I might set a goal that's in alignment with that, right? That might be something to the effect of getting my body back in balance so that I can thrive and have that through this menopausal phase in my life. And if something gets derailed in that process, if I have a health crisis or when I had surgery, if something gets derailed in that, my intention doesn't change. It's still there. And it pulls me through whatever it is that might have interrupted that flow, but then I've shifted and had to course correct or shift courses based on some things that might have been out of my control. Is that what you would describe intention as, Sheila? Am I off track with that? I can't hear you. Is it me? Can you guys clap if you can hear Sheila? And so that way I can make sure it's not me. I can hear you moving your phone, but I can't hear your voice. Okay, I'm kind of reading lips. I think she said, "Let me log off and come back on." Yeah, swipe out and come back in. Yeah, so oh, you gotta love technology. And we didn't sound check or test and go in the green room because we've done this so many months before that I guess we just didn't think we needed a tech check. So, it's always fun. Technology is awesome. Love technology. Listen, you guys, for these shows, I love you guys to be in the conversation. So, Graciela, Peter, if you have stuff to say about this, I would love to hear what you have to say and create like a forum and a conversation around this topic because I think it's very important for us as we set things for the new year. We are people who kind of do get tied to time, even though it's kind of a random thing, time is, but we are subject to the seasons and the ebbs and the flows. And if we are going to live a life that is truly fulfilled, there is a part of us that has to link that to the time and the way the cycles and the time works for us, the way we approach it right now. And I'm sure that has changed and has been different throughout history, but we do have a rhythm of our lives. We do have days. And so I would love to hear how you guys look at approaching the new year, how you look at what intention is, how you set a tone for the new year. Do you guys choose a word for the year? I know that that's a pretty big thing that I do from each year. I do pick a word that I would like to, that I feel like this is the place in life that I am. And so I would like to filter my all of my intentions and goals through that. And like this year, it's Blossom, because I feel like I'm at a place right now where I really do want that heart to come forth, to see the bloom, the fruitage of the work that I've done up till now. So, and when I look at setting intentions, I kind of do it through that lens. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sheila. Let's see if we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you
Yes.
know what? Because I called my daughter in the next room over, and she's like, "I can hear you." You know what happened was I had to update the app before I could come on tonight, and maybe when
Oh
I
gosh.
updated it, some
Yeah.
signals got crossed. So,
Okay.
but to answer your question about intention, I hope I'm not. She's getting ready for bed anyhow. So tonight, when I was taking my daughter to karate, she's supposed to be testing for her black belt in a couple weeks, and so the preparation is starting now. And she decided she did not want to go for the black belt test. And I'm in a place right now with my kids. I am a recovering tiger mom. I say that in a funny way. But seriously, like when I see a goal for them and they're not hitting it, I don't force it. And so we had a talk about it. And she's just said, I'm just not feeling it. Like, I just, the sensei says, I'm ready and everything, but I'm not feeling it. And I was explaining to him when I saw him tonight, he's a really nice guy. I said, you know, the life coach in me can help people set goals, but the energy worker in me, that's the piece that actually comes first, because when you set the goal's there. Like, you know what you need to do. Everybody that's watching knows, you all know down there in the audience what a SMART goal is. But if the energy, or as you said, intention doesn't match the outcome needed to reach the goal, then you're just going to be constantly reaching for something that you don't have the energy body to bring in. And so she just hasn't brought in the energy for that accomplishment yet. She has all of the mechanics in place, but energetically she hasn't brought that in. And I bring that as an introduction to an example of, I don't know at what point you want me to talk about the newsletter, but anyhow, that's definitely, we're on the same track with that.
Right.
So
And it's something I say, about even healing in general, like emotional healing and well being. We can find ourselves in these really dark places and in trauma, and sometimes we feel lost. And we all have everything we need inside of us to heal, to do the work. But
right.
are we ready? Or are we, like you said, energetically aligned and ready to do that? And one of the things I can remember thinking about when I was going through my divorce was, you know, asking myself, like, why am I putting myself through the same cycles and not just letting this go? And after I came through that, I really said to myself, I think you just we all have our thresholds, and we put up with until we can't put up with it anymore. And I think that kind of applies in different areas in different ways, right? But we all
Yeah.
just have our thresholds, our markers where we align, where we say, this is it, and this is where I've got to
Hmm.
go. Whether it's a healthy level of disgust that you have to reach, whatever it is that you have to get to, where that clicks, and then, you're ready to move in that direction.
Yeah, I'm listening. The audio is getting wobbly on Wi-Fi. Um, so what direction do we want to head? Because the intuitive channel or energy person in me, I'm like, there's like antennas everywhere. But like, I'll let you,
No, you go.
because I
You
don't want.
lead. You lead,
Oh,
because this
okay.
email that you sent out this time about the energy forecast and the vortex, to me this is
Okay.
completely intriguing, but it's a little bit above my
Woohoo!
um, pay
It's a little bit
grade.
woohoo.
Yeah,
Oh, your
but
pay grade?
I'm yes,
Oh, I don't know
but
about
I'm
that.
so intrigued by it.
Okay, so everybody knows what a vortex is, right? Like maybe just do a little, I don't know, I'm not on Fireside a lot, but like I'm swirling my arms like okay, like let's think Dorothy, the Wizard of Oz. We all know what a
Mhm.
vortex is, right? Swirling energy. It can be negative or positive, but we associate it with being positive, right? So we know there are these vortex sites like all over the globe where we can go and receive in the energies. I know Sedona is one of them, and I know there's others in Japan and other places. I think Peru's got Machu Picchu might be another one. And so when we go there, there's a higher resonance, a higher frequency. Now, when we are, and by the way, I did not read about this. I do read, and I read about energy and metaphysical concepts, but this was just something that sort of came to light as I was writing. So I'm sure it's written somewhere, but if I don't have a book to tell you where you can read about it. So in
I love that
ourselves,
even more.
we have a, yeah, right. Like I'm just speaking off the top of my head, but it's interesting. I do work on people who are energy healers and shaman, and they read the newsletter and said, yeah, no, I felt everything you were saying. So I know I was in alignment with at least one or two people out there.
No,
Okay,
definitely.
so the vortex. So there's physical vortex sites you go to. You feel the energy. You feel like giddy. You feel like you're in a high. Like Sedona, we went to the one of the vortex sites. It was Kimchi Woman. Kimchi, I'm mispronouncing it. And Kimchi. It's a in Boynton Canyon, and I'm not kidding you. Like my girls, you thought maybe they were on drugs. They were like giddy. They were laughing. They were
Mm.
singing songs. My brother, my son. I mean, we looked like we were like on dope or something. I mean, it was like what just happened? Like we got to the spires, which was like the high
Mhm.
point of the
Mhm.
vortex, and we were just like on a high. Where did that come from, right? That's just the magnetic pole is very strong there. And what it did is it changed the physical chemistry, in our own bodies and our cells, so that our energy field was becoming stronger and stronger. And it really emanates from like the heart. Like the heart energy is really the energy that kind of helps everything stir up in the body. So I was thinking over the weekend, like everything's culminating, the year's culminating. Our goals are culminating. For some of us, the end of the year means end of certain contracts or maybe a lease or, it signifies a lot of things. And so there's a culmination of energies, which, all right, that happens every year, but this year feels different. And I felt like I've been feeling this for a while, but then this weekend I kind of felt things were like ramping up, and then yesterday I was really off. Today I'm a little better, but I just feel this sort of like Wizard of Oz, like I'm in that little whirlpool, that vortex of energy, and that's how I'm like this, and then you're just gonna like all of a sudden just land, and somewhere in January you're gonna land, and you're gonna be like, where am I? Like, is this odd? Like, is this yours a yellow brick road? Like, is there a house on top of me? Like, it's kind of that energy. You just kind of, as I'm talking, my head's tingling. Like, you just kind of have to go with it, and the reason is because each of us is in our own singular vortex, and we've got all the energy centers, the seven chakras. I learned from Joe Dispenza, we have an eighth one called Ka. I think that's how you pronounce it. And so there's actually eight chakras, but these energy centers have their own intelligence to them. They have their own governing system. They have their own cells, their own tissues, their own higher intelligence. And so when we work on accumulating, a resonance like through all the chakra systems in our body, we create that fluency so the energy can shoot up and reach our brain. And when we get to that higher state of consciousness, hopefully, through meditation or some type of experience, maybe you're just a deep sleeper and you have some really cosmic dreams. But that is where we really kind of bring forth that subconscious, that 95% comes through, that we are shutting off every day when we're in this like 5%. Like, I am just going to be an analytical thinker. This is where I get up in the morning. This is what I eat. This is the way I go drive to work. It's like Groundhog Day, right? But
Yeah.
now our Groundhog Day is being disrupted. So there's like, you could be going through the same steps, but then the energy is not supporting that. So we're all just kind of being lifted up into something. Now, there is a little caveat. If you're one of those people that is not working through your stuff, or hasn't been working through your stuff, or you numb out, using recreational substances to get through your stuff, you're going to continue to go through a karmic cycle, and you're going to continue to bring in those karmic partners, those karmic colleagues, those karmic friends that are, going to help you live out, whatever it is, whatever pain or trauma that you mentioned that you need to learn to get to your next level. And none of us escape that, right? I mean, you've been through a divorce, I've been through one. I mean, that's just one thing. There's a whole laundry list, but you have to go through your karmic, your destinies, your cycles. Like all of us have gone through or are going through pain. I lost a parent, my last parent, unexpectedly last March. I mean, talk about like throwing my world off its axis. Like it's just changed and disrupted everything in my reality. But that's not a reason for me to digress from my purpose. If anything, it's catapulted. It's like been like a slingshot. So like her death was like a slingshot that just shot me forward. But if I had stayed in my karmic cycles, I could have just continued to, move like in a direction that would have been counterintuitive and counterproductive to where I needed to go. Mm-hmm. So right now we're in this vortex, right? And if we've been living through our karmic cycles, they are gone, like they're leaving for good. Thank goodness, right? That's the good news.
Yes.
But the big piece of it is like not knowing where you're going to land, or not knowing. I mean, I know we all have to pay bills. We have to wake up in the morning. We need to know that our heart's beating, clean water and food would help. But I'm saying like just knowing that you are made for something, and there's something out there for you, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get there. And here's another example, and you're really open to getting there however it happens. Now, I'm going to give 2 quick examples, and then I'm going to pause and let you, maybe just absorb, and maybe someone wants to come up on stage and share, how this has been, if they want to get, we can do hot seat moment or whatever you want, Gianna.
Mm-hmm.
So sure. 2 things that have happened recently to sort of encapsulate what's happening right now. First one was more recent, like just in the past day. It actually happened, I think it was today or yesterday. So it's a result of something else happening. So I'm redoing my website, and I'll explain why in a minute. And I couldn't find the right web designer, because the web designer I hired didn't answer my text message like 5 months ago. So I thought, oh, she's so busy, she doesn't have time for me, so I need to find someone else. But now the deadline is like really getting shorter and shorter. And so I was supposed to meet with someone like a week and a half ago. They didn't even show up to the phone meeting. I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I just said, I give up. I didn't say I give up. I said, I surrender. I know this website's going to get done, and it has to get done. But what I did is and this is the real key thing, and Joe Dispenza talks about this a lot. When you're surrendering and you're releasing to the unknown, and you are releasing the emotion behind the trigger or the trauma or whatever it is that's holding, you have to be really authentic with the emotion that you're bringing in. So for me, it was like a full-on surrender. I felt like just a full sense of freedom. I was like, you know what, the website's going to happen. The edits are going to happen. I said, I'm leaving it up to you, like angels, guides. I know you're going to bring the right person in, and I know you've got this, and I don't need to, I can leave it off my plate. I don't need to worry about it. The next day I was on Instagram. I'm not on social media a lot, but like once or twice a day I flip through, and there's the name of the web designer that did my website. And she just posted something. I'm like, that's weird. I've never seen her post on Instagram. And when I looked at her account, she only had like 5 posts for the whole year. I'm like, what are the chances, right? Here I am thinking she blew me off and didn't respond to my text message, but I liked her post, and I sent her a message, and I just said, hey, I reached out to you. I'm assuming you're really busy, but I just want to say hi. She's like, oh my gosh, never got your text message. Do you want to hop on a call today? Actually, yeah, it happened this morning. And I'm mind blown. Like, we had a whole initial meeting. She's going to pick up everything that I want to get done. And she said, she never got the message. So I obviously texted the wrong number. And this is the perfect time to get it done because she just got laid off from her job. So her side gig is web designing. She's actually looking to bring in a lot of new clients. So it's like, all right, that's just too weird, right? But that was a full moment of like surrender. 2, 3 weeks ago, I was in my office and I we'll just say there's a gentleman that works in the vicinity of my office. Like we have a lot of office doors, and he's not the greatest person in the world. And I'm just going to cut to the chase. So he ran into me. He said something not nice to me. He's an older guy, triggered me a little bit, but not too much. And I said, you know what? I'm just so done. I'm so done here. And this workspace is not right for me for what I'm bringing in for the next phase in my career in 2023 as a hypnotherapist. So I said, I'm just going to call up this place near my house where it's closer, it's going to be nicer, it's going to check off a lot of boxes. And they showed me the place. This was like 2 weeks ago, and it was perfect, except it was available now, and my lease is up in August. But because this man has been harassing me for a few years, and he's claimed to be management, I use that to my advantage. So I called up and I got in touch with management. I said, hey, listen, I just said, this is my story. He's been harassing me. I really just want to get out. It's just too much. It's emotionally not safe for me here anymore. I used all the hot words. They were like, let me talk to the leasing agent. 30 minutes later, we'll let you out of your lease on January 31st. 2 days later, I signed my lease. 3 days later, I incorporated. I have an LLC for the first time. One day after that, on Friday, I have my first business account set up attached to my LLC. And then as of today, I am finalizing my business insurance. And it was like, if you just look at the time span of 3 weeks, like new office, out of old lease, LLC, business account at the bank, and insurance, business insurance, all this accountability is attached to this next movement in my life. So much accountability. It's like the universe is like, we're locking you down into accountability because you're upgrading so much. We're going to have all these accountability measures in place to make sure that you are living to the highest integrity in this move. But it was so fast. I didn't even see it coming. If you'd said to me on November 1st, oh, you're going to be moving in January and you're going to have an LLC, I'm like, but what I did in November was I raised my rates because it was time to bring my rates up. And when I increased my rates for my services, it brought in the energy of the new place. It brought in the energy of the LLC. It brought in the energy of the new bank account. So do you see this domino effect? Like those weren't even goals of mine in this time span. Like I think I thought, oh, down the road I'll do these things. But all it takes is that one movement, but the energy had to be right for all these things to come together at this moment in time. And it was a surrender because I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just going to make a phone call and ask for help. And one phone call led to another one. And so it was just complete faith.
And I love that. I think that surrender is underestimated. I think that people
Mm-hmm.
don't. We fight things to the end, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think to your point, even when I was going through, like I was talking about before with the divorce situation, I was
Mm-hmm.
fighting. I was fighting against something that needed to be let go. And when I surrendered and said, mm, okay, I can't do this anymore, and I stopped that fight, um, so many other things poured in when I did that. Because the minute I did that, all of these, I'm not saying there wasn't a time period of healing and building energy, but it was all in preparation of the next place that I was meant to be, that I was holding myself from doing by holding on to something that was no longer in alignment with anything that my
Yeah.
life was headed towards.
And that's hard because we're so attached to our pain. Is that this is another thing, and this is more like a hypnosis thing, but that's light. I'm just trying to turn it down a little bit. We do everything that we do is familiar. If you ask anybody, I think I even did a poll on my Instagram a couple weeks ago. If you would consider, it wasn't even you, consider sleeping on the other side of your bed. Oh, no, no. What? Me? No, no way. No, no, no way. It's just, what is asking you to sleep on your side of the bed? Like, how big of a change is that? It's monumental for people because it's like, do you ever think about like, oh my God, but that means a different nightstand, and but that I'm going to be on your side, and but if I want to be on this side, and it's just all the dialogue you go through about changing the side of the bed, and then you carry that over into your whole life. Like everything is familiar. I don't want to change offices because I know this office. It's familiar. People know how to find me. I don't want to have another bank account. It's not familiar. I don't want to have an LLC. I don't want to do that. You see my hands, like everything. This is how my brain goes. And then you stop and you say, you know what? I'm going to sleep on the other side of the bed. Maybe I could open an LLC. And you open these new neural pathways. And when you do that, you work with the trauma, because the trauma is that it's a sense of familiarity. It's a sense of, I know this. Like, I know this hurts. I know this pain. I know the feeling of being a single mom and struggling when other women are married and have husbands. They have it better than me. I'm a struggler. I struggle. And that becomes like your label and your template. Like, you have it tattooed on your head, like, I struggle. I'm the struggler. But this, you're not, because that married person, they're also struggling. They may be struggling with a husband who's an alcoholic, or maybe he's a workaholic, or maybe she's a workaholic. You know, everyone's situations are all situational. Like, it's just what you see, right? So
Yep.
that trauma piece is, it can be a real sense of attachment on, you know, just, I want to get back to it. I want to get back to my divorce. I want to talk about it. I want to get back to it. It's like, okay, but now this is the whole part of the surrender. And that's the hardest part. It's like, that's not you anymore.
Right.
That was, and that's the whole, this is a real big thing that Joe Dispenza talks about. And I know, you know, this, but it's like when we look back, you know, when we look forward too much about the future, we become anxious. When we look back about how things used to be or how they were, we get depressed. And we spend
Hmm.
very little time just completely detaching and being like
Hmm.
right here, right now. It's hard. It's really hard.
It is, and you know, and it may have been him, but I don't know who because I read just like you so much stuff, and sometimes I get my authors started getting smushed together. But a comfort zone doesn't mean that we're comfortable. It just means, like you said, it just is a familiar place, and it's a place that we've learned what it looks like and feels like to live in there, and so we know how to navigate it. It doesn't mean it's comfortable. It doesn't mean it feels good. It doesn't mean that's who we are. It doesn't mean that we're thriving, striving, or anything in that area. The comfort zone is just this zone that we're in because we're afraid to move. And if you surrender and you put some intentions into this, like think about it. Just think for a minute about why you would want to shift. And then if you surrender to that, you start to realize that, as you let go, that you were holding on to something that
Yeah.
you held on to it too long. You're carrying luggage you don't need to carry.
That's a beautiful metaphor. That's exactly what it is. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful.
So, yeah.
But
So
can I
I
just
don't
talk
know.
about your Ula Palooza? Because
Yes.
that's like, okay, so that in itself, so you know, the people who read Joe's books, right? I mean, he talks a lot about like the frequency and the energy field and the waves, and you know, being in beta and high beta and low beta and alpha and theta and gamma, delta, or I think that was the right order. But when he's people go to his events, you know, their energy field after the first day it changes, and so they took these pictures of magnetic fields in the auditoriums or in the places where his lectures took place, and they took the the they measured the energy when the room is empty the day before, and then it was like here, and then when everyone got here day one, the energy went down to here because everyone came in like probably low from whatever it is they were going through, and then by days 2 and 3 it just went up. And so you think about Ulapalooza, and you're in that space for 2 days with all those people who are just vibing so high. They're excited. They want to set their goals. And then I'm sure there was like an after party. I'm sure Saturday, Sunday, hanging out in Nashville. But like you're just coming off that. Like you're just getting back. So it's going to take you about 21 days to really energetically like pull through all the reframing that you did and process what that really means to you right now in your life. But the fact that you were there and you're back home, it's like that energy, just being in that room. So when you were saying like this was amazing, this was like one of the best events I'd been to, and you're like, not that it wasn't, but you're still so high up right now. Like you're still high as a kite on the Ula energy from being around. That's the whole point. Like we offer each other, right? When we connect in a physical space like that and non-physical, like here, we're making our own energy pool. But that was in itself like a whole vortex of energy. And so that's
Agreed,
why
agreed.
people,
And really, to be honest, I know you've been to it a few times. It was different. It was different than this was the seventh time I've been, and it was different than any one that I've ever been to.
why
Um,
I'm curious.
yeah. Well, okay, so it wasn't all the same stories. That's number one. There were some different things. We did an exercise. This was sobering, and I've done this exercise twice before. Um, in workshops. And we did it here. This was the largest group we've done it with. It was based off, loosely, it's based off Stand Up for a Sister. Have you ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
Set up by a sorority. And what they did was they go through and they made this list of questions because they found that on campus, girls were afraid to tell people when they were raped or sexually abused. They were afraid to tell people when they were bullied, mean girled, whatever. So all these different scenarios that they found were happening on campus and even inside of the sororities. So they went through this list of questions in one of their sessions, meetings, whatever. And it was just, have you ever experienced depression? Have you ever stole a pack of gum or anything simple? Have you do you come from divorced parents? Have you ever experienced sexual assault? It was like 30 questions. Well, at Ulapalooza, they did like 15, I think. And it was all
Right.
these questions, and you don't put your name on it. You just answer yes or no. And then you fold the paper up and you pass it. And then you stand up and pass it again. And you stand up and pass it again. And you do that enough times that there's no way you can track your paper. Nobody knows whose paper is where. And then as you read through the questions, if you on your paper the answer is yes, you stand up. And when I tell you that for more than half of the questions, 60 to 80% of the audience stood up. And then at the end, it said, if you have stood up for any of these questions at all, stand up now. And it was everybody. Everybody has
Um,
experienced at least one of those
yeah.
things on that list. And the impact gave me goosebumps because you are in a place where people are working on themselves.
Mhm.
And they still have people in this place that are experiencing depression, have thought of taking their lives, and they're working. And you think about what is happening in general, you know? It was very sobering. It was a very touching experience to just see it in something that big, right? We probably
Yeah.
had about 400 people there. And so
Yeah.
I was like, I was just I was touched. It was painful to see. the hurt that still is existing, even in people who are working to get through that.
Yeah.
And it just made the work, because this one I worked, so I'm not as high as I could be from reframing. I am high from the fact that I got to work with people and mentor and coach people who were trying to understand where they were and how they were supposed to move through things. But it
Yeah.
was
That's a
just, it was
lot.
a very, yeah, it was different. It was amazing. I am on, like you said, I'm still on a new high. um, it was just a really, I don't know, but it is like you said, it is a vibe and an energy in this place that when you came into it, because of the number of people who don't know what they expect, you could feel the energy the first session and how it changed each
Sure.
time and how it kept going up because people were understanding, people were getting it, people were doing the work. And even if they were crying their hearts out, writing things down, it was all being released and leveling, like you said, leveling up. It was, it
Mm.
is. I think it's the key sometimes, and being able to connect in a community of people who are all
Yeah.
kind of heading in that same direction. So,
Yeah. No, and it's sobering. And so here's the thing, like kindness goes a long way. And some people it works to be in a public environment like that and receive in help and receive in the energies, and sometimes people need to process differently and they're okay, but they need to just process quietly. They might go
mhm,
through a quieter spell in their life, maybe these few months around the holidays. Some people just drop off and they just want to isolate more. They're not depressed or sad or lonely, they just the way they just do better when they can just do things the way they need to do them to process. Like being around people actually makes it harder for them to process, like I'm one of those
right,
people.
mhm,
So if if you are in the audience, and this is like something relatable, there's a lot of different ways to prepare for the year ahead. And some of us like to go to events where we can be around people and we can share support for one another. Some people just want to be alone or just be with their inner circle. I think as we get closer to the solstice in a couple of weeks, and next week is 12/12, which is like another energy gateway, and just kind of like sticking with the theme of energy and the vortex just a little bit and just sticking with that is, and you've seen like a few examples, of how Deanna and I have worked through, an energetic cycle. Like she went through Ulapalooza and she gave a lot. So I'm hoping she takes some time this week to restore herself. And I went through my own energetic. I do work with clients every day, of course, but I mean, from my own movements right now, I'm being very gentle and very kind with myself, with my kids, trying to be gentle with people around me, like because I know getting a parking spot in the strip mall to get into the stores and the grocery lines, and people driving erratically. And I'm sure there's more people drinking this time of year. I'm trying to exercise more patience and kindness, but we're all processing differently.
mhm,
And kind of back to the the vortex theme is that just be gentle on yourselves. This and if you don't get the answers, if you're feeling anxious because you feel like things are happening for other people and they're not happening for you, um, those are actually the people that you want to watch and spend time around, because when you are watching good things happen to other people, it's giving your subconscious a dose of information, like look how good things can be. What you don't want to be doing is watching the news or getting too caught up in social media to the extent that it's really starting to depress you. Seeing what's going on for other people is becoming overwhelming to you. So do spend time following your influencers and your mentors. Do spend time reading highly energized books like, Joe Dispenza or David Hamilton, or um, I'm sure Deanna has a whole bunch. And do spend time meditating. Do spend time, eating your food with like a lot of presence. When you eat, like feel what you're eating. Like just be present with all of yourself for the most that you can do for each day. It's just a little bit incrementally, so that when you are moving and stirring through this big pot of, December, you're not looking back, in January, like, what was that? All I did was compare myself. I spent a lot of money. I drank too much wine. I don't feel any better. And now Gianna and I, we talk about this every year, right? Like January, you're just like, whoa. It's like numb. I think we say like it's not till end of February or March, right? Where you really feel the new year
Right.
kicking in.
Right. I always say my new year starts in February. I've said
Yeah.
that for a long time because my past career was in accounting, and so January was still December for me, and wrapping everything up, and there's all these deadlines and everything. I couldn't think about anything else. And so for me it was always like, and I feel like that for everyone though, because you're coming through these, the end of the year is such a big holiday season. It just keeps going from the end of October through the end, through the beginning of January. You're just in this one after the other little frenzy of ups and downs and families and celebrations and all of these different things. And I think that you need to be able to, just like any other energy, come off of that a little bit before you start saying, okay, let me just buckle down and, you know, go, you know, I don't know, settle into a new year. And then the other thing is that I feel like the whole pandemic, I can't even keep track of time. I'm like, I feel like I've lost 2 years of my life. I gotta think about, wait, did that happen in 2021? Where are we? What year is it? So there's just a lot for me going on. I don't know if it's just me, but it's all whack a little bit for me.
So I know we have like a nice little group, Graciela, and we've got Peter, and I know we've got Monica down there, and I think there's Sonia. I hope I said your name right. Does anyone want to come up to stage? I think we've got like 10 minutes left, Anna, and just share any questions or any thoughts about starting the new year, energy movement, and how the vibe is right
Intentions,
now for you,
tones,
intentions, where you're
anything,
blocked.
questions, thoughts.
Everybody's just like, I wonder, like, there's all these bubbles of people down below, and like someone forgot to leave on their fireside, and they're like doing something else.
No, no, but I know sometimes, like Monica has a show before this show. Sometimes she comes in and she listens, but she's also, doing stuff and
Getting,
can't always talk.
oh my God.
Um, Graciela has a show too that she does, and she does a lot of energy work as well. I don't know if she can
Hmm.
share, but if you're listening, Grace, I would love to hear it.
Oh,
And
Peter's
Peter,
Peter's
he works.
thinking.
Yeah, he's
He's
thinking.
thinking.
He he
Oh,
says, "I'm
Peter,
here
just
just
come
on a."
up on stage. Have him talk and introduce himself. Bring him up on
Come
stage.
on, Peter.
No more thinking. Just we're in full doing mode, present to the moment.
Let's see if I can get him to actually come
Oh, he
up. I
said,
don't
"I'm
know if I'm
here. I
doing
just
it.
don't know
There
how
we are.
I
Here
feel."
he
Oh, he
is.
just says oh, that's good. He doesn't know how he's feeling. That's perfect. I don't
give
know
it
how I'm
give
Hello,
it
feeling,
to
but
Sheila.
Deanna and
Hey,
Sheila.
Peter. How are you
I don't have
doing?
my phone in a place that I can go on camera right now, but I'm here
oh,
vocally.
Okay.
okay, well that's good. Your vocal, yeah. That's not something that you hear often. Just like you're just here, like you're just God, like in the universe. Like I'm
Right.
just here, but you can just hear me, but you can't see me. Okay,
Right.
that makes the whole thing seem a lot more mysterious.
Well, it's
Okay.
actually because my cat is sprawled out on my desk and halfway over the phone, so I can't. I don't have the heart
So
to like make her move and
Oh
lift
yeah,
up the
no, no,
phone.
no, no, no. Leave the cat. We don't touch the animals. We let the animals get
Exactly.
them.
And
so how you feeling?
and my cat's 15 and a half years old, so she gets whatever she wants now. Every moment is
Yeah,
precious, right?
that's
Well,
right. She's
let's talk
earned it.
about the animals. The cat. The cat's on the phone. That's really interesting that your cat is like, do like our even our animals, they know, like they know where our attention goes. Like the cat is like, this is my phone. You will not be on your phone anymore. Like I am gonna break the connection with you in the phone. Our animals are super intuitive right now.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes they know more than we do.
I have a joke. This is a bad joke. Well, not really a joke. It's not a joke, but okay, it's Chicago. It's in the 40s and 30s and 20s, depending on what hour of the day. And so um, there was a fly that flew in the house this morning. This has been happening for a few months now in the cold weather. And I gently took a towel, I covered the fly, I took the towel outside, I opened it, and the fly flew away. Yay! And then I threw out some garbage a couple hours ago. I had the screen door open for like a second, and in came a fly. I'm like, where is this fly coming from? And I make a joke that it's my mom, and my daughter's like, Grandmommy would never come back as a fly. I'm like, okay, I'm not saying she came back as a fly. I'm just saying she's spying on us in the form of a fly, because it's just weird. We keep getting these random flies in our house when it's cold. And she said, she said, Grandmommy would never come in as a fly, and you're just kind of like, now you're getting kind of weird, Mom. But anyhow, we couldn't get the fly out of the house, but I am like convinced that all these little critters and creatures and our own animals are like trying to tell us something. I'm like, what is this fly? Why is this fly keep coming in our house when it's like 30 degrees? It's only one fly. And it's not just happening here. It happens when we go up to our weekend home sometimes in Wisconsin. We get one fly that comes in the house. I'm like, there's got to be a reason why this is happening. Again, surrender. I don't
Oh,
understand. I don't know what that means.
you know what you could tell her about that one fly that you said is your mom? Is that your mom was such an elevated soul that after she passed away, her soul only had one tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of correction to make to become a master soul. And so she decided to come back as a fly because that's all she needed to complete her soul journey.
There you go. Peter likes he likes to he likes to think on higher levels too. Soul journeys.
I Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna think on that a little bit tonight, and maybe my mom's soul can kind of rest with the fly thing. I would be delighted if she wants to come back as a butterfly, or if she wants to come back as like a cute little rabbit. But the fly thing, yeah. But she's got
Well,
one
because
correction to
now you're
make.
not going to be able to swat any flies.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly where I'm going with this. I can't swap
She's like,
flies anymore. And it's driving me crazy because I'm like, I don't want to kill my mom. I'm like such a crazy person.
oh boy.
I think like every living thing is the embodiment of a soul. But
Yeah.
but that's where you go when you get to this elevated place. When you start thinking outside yourself and you see that your energy is so connected to other people and animals and little critters, like you begin to not even be able to like swat a fly. So I don't even
I'm
know where
not
I'm
going
going with
there.
this conversation right now, but what are some other books,
So,
Jana, for people to read to get
well, what
invigorated?
I wanted to ask Peter something. When you said you
Yeah.
don't even know where you are right now, are you contemplating a new year, or you just kind of keep rolling and just don't need the demarcation
You know what?
between?
I guess it's not actually as ambiguous as I made it sound. Actually,
Uh
for
huh.
me, I really resonated with what you said about the pandemic that there's like just this mystery fog over the last couple years, but right now, like I feel like I do see the sun shining at the end of the horizon, and I'm sure that Graciela, if she's listening, can relate to this because she's always following my journey of progress. But like
Mhm.
I had so much that I wanted to accomplish this year, and I feel like I got 42% of the way there, and I want to get 100% of the way there in these last like 20 days. So it's like right now I'm like in hustle mode. Like I got to accomplish all this stuff before the end of the year.
Like says who?
I know, right?
So I do the same thing and I look at these things that I set out. And that's why I talk about intention so much because um, I think it's such a big deal about how we approach the things that we want to accomplish and understanding why and making sure that that piece just stays, it's steady, it's related to us, it's connected to who we are and how we operate as a person, as a soul. Um, and recognizing that even if we don't hit all those markers, we can be flexible in that because those markers, those goals, that's what they are. They're just markers. And sometimes our course meanders. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes we lose focus. Sometimes it's us. I know that holds true for me. Um, but also there are times where we have to give attention elsewhere. And so that goal that maybe was linked to this time frame needs an extension. It doesn't mean we're not going to do it. It doesn't mean we're not going to accomplish that or that we don't still aim for that. It just means that, we have to file an extension, kind of like our taxes.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I do like that. So, yeah, there's no, everything that's meant for you will happen in the time it's meant to. But I will say, with this vortex of energy right now, we are positioned in a very unique moment in time. And spirit doesn't really understand time. Quantum physics doesn't really understand, there's no time. It's just,
Right.
you just shift realities. So, but we're in a really unique position right now where many of us who have gone through our karmic lessons are going to just make quantum movements in our timelines. I call it timelines collapsing, which means uh, things that you have been energetically putting the work into for the past few years, may all of a sudden you will get, like, maybe in a couple months, like 1 to 2 years worth of manifestations in a very short amount. That's kind of what that means when we say timelines collapsing. And that is what's happening right now. So don't be
Oh,
surprised.
I love the sound of that.
Yeah, me too. I need some timelines collapsing and
Speaking of
ceilings breaking.
timelines collapsing, we are
She's like, I
a
got to go to bed.
very, and we're all, I'm like halfway to bed. I have pajamas on the bottom, and I'm trying to look professional with my sweater on. But um, if you, my girls, we do get up between 5 and 6 in the morning, and I'm trying to keep integrity with. I told them I would get off at 9, so my voice doesn't carry in the house. So I'm gonna have to sign off. But if you want to keep talking, I'll come back next month and chat away with you.
Yep, absolutely. I love our shows each month. Do you have anything else, Peter? I'm going to let you
No, I
go,
think
Sheila, but I'm just going to just open for just a second in the audience if you guys have anything you want to add. Because if not, we'll just close out the whole show. I'm not obligated to sit here, and
no,
take
that
up your
was good.
time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
always love when you come up and share. Okay, so
Um,
So with that, I'm going to wrap it up if nobody else has anything to say. I like to say that I see you and you are beautiful. I want you guys to carry that with you and understand that I actually mean it. And I want you to think about what it actually means to be seen, to be validated, to know that your existence right here in this space in this time, it matters. And that it's beautiful, right? We all have everything inside of us that we need. We're magic. And so, with that, I want you to take care of each other, love each other, and shine on. So, till next week, you guys. See you later. I'll bring up this crazy weight bot.